JKS, well, he's going to get a kill on Emmy at the very least over on the other side, but it's all about this bomb site right here. Config trying to move out of position. Stiko is right up inside of that smoke, and Rush has finally shown up to try and help him out, so they may have the crossfire to actually settle this. Rush is going to get one of them. Config, though, he's going to get caught and leaves Rush alone, and he's only got 12 bullets. He hasn't reloaded yet, and Sen will go in for the big swing to take him down. JKS now on his own in a 1 versus 2, although Stiko's low on health. It's still pretty winnable here for FPX. He's just sneaking in, and oh no, that flashbang. That ruined his whole life, didn't it?
Yeah, Stiko even just swings with it himself. He was like, I know this flashbang's on point. I know he's blind, and he's going to get that final kill because of it. I feel like Stiko is, you know those games where you get like a plus 20% boost based on the sort of area of the map you're on? Like maybe you have, yeah. I don't know, in the jungle or something, you get a boost in that area. I feel like Stiko's got that for the apartments, man. He's been killing it from that spot.
It must feel so good to just be in that zone and just know that what you're doing is going to be working. You wonder at the same time, is he going to be playing that position but on the CT side? I can't remember if that's actually where he's playing, but if it is, that would even make more sense, you know? Just become an expert at that.
Yeah, I think he does, from what I remember. I am opening myself up to be wrong though, Anders, so maybe I'll just not say anything either way, and then I can't be wrong.
That's always a good move. Or just don't care if you're wrong. That's another way to go.
True.
Blamef is on a bit of an adventure. He's walked out. Oh, he's going to get found by Stiko. He's just so on point. Big chance for Config to get at least the one headshot, but doesn't really make it happen. And yeah, the MAC-10's doing a lot of work here. Madden coming up with at least a couple of kills here, and Rush now on his own. Oh, well, he's going to be able to get that one. That's something. It's not going to change the round, but, you know.
It was a nice shot. Got to give him that.
It was.
He's actually top of the board right now, the complexity, which you don't see all that often.
True.
I think he's been switching up his spots in some of these rounds. I think sometimes he's that man going 3B when needed, and they're sort of switching up their positions occasionally, which is what you have to do almost nowadays on CT Inferno. I feel like you have to have rounds where you send 3B early for the banana fight. You kind of have to switch that setup because even though FPX have 10 T rounds here, these days Inferno actually is T-sided. I was looking at the stats specifically for these two teams. Both of them do have a higher T-side win rate in the last 3 months. Maybe not quite 10-2 though. That's a bit further out there than I was expecting.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, that's also maybe why Complexity were doing that save earlier when JKS had money. You know, maybe they think, okay, even though we're behind, we can justify it because we know probably our T side is going to be better. But that justification is like slipping out of their hands really quickly. They have 2 rounds so far on the CT side. They're not even back-to-back rounds. They're like there's not that much that's really been building for them on almost any level.
They've had a couple of chances to, it feels like, build something, right? And then they just lose that one round that pushes them so far back.
We'll see if they can find a way to change it. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they've been trying a couple of different things. Here's just an adventurous flashbang into the middle to set up for, for Rush. But those are tiny things that are, well within their rights of attempting. You've got to find a way to get that advantage back. Right now, it's looking tricky. Ooh, and Poison. The flashbang set up there for Emmy just absolutely ruined his day. And he was there just for that one purpose. That's all he really wanted to do is like get a kill and escape. And it's just so on point what they're doing here, FPX. There aren't many holes in their game right now.
It's frustrating for Complexity too, because they were just starting that rotation away from B, thinking they could get Poison established on that angle down Banana so that he could just hold it alone, and that instantly just completely denies your plans. Now you kind of have to be a bit more wary of that B site. You have to keep another man there, but they've still stuck with 3A, and that is the right read right now, and there's not many nades left for FPX.
Blame is going down. It's just getting worse, isn't it? Sen coming in with a nice little tap of the AK-47 and Rush. I don't really think it mattered what he would have done there. Inside of the bomb site with an M4A1. That's just it's too many players and too few bullets, even if he was going to hit some great headshots there. Leaving JKS on his own. So FPX are looking just amazing right now. It's really cool to see.
I think for Complexity there, I almost wonder if that player on long was slightly hedging his bets. Because I think if you commit 3 players to the A site, you would maybe have him up in a different position and you just hold towards the site itself and have that 3-man crossfire, which could be brutal. But instead, he's kind of standing out towards long, which gives FPX the chance to isolate that fight early. And I think that just helps them so much, because once they get that first kill, it's a lot easier to run into the site when you're not dealing with a 3-man crossfire. I can understand it, though, because they'd lost that long control, so they kind of needed someone at least somewhat close by.
Yeah, it just feels like it's all compromises right now for complexity, which is never a good sign. This round is another, the 3rd or 4th round or something, where they have essentially deagles and nades, which in itself tells the story around the kind of economy that they've been having in this first half, and it's not been looking good. They've already used the HEs to really no effect at all, which again is, I think, pretty much the standard. There are only like a couple of teams that can make a big difference there. The smokes, though, could still do a lot. Config, he's listening, he's waiting for them to come through, but Emmy, crouching inside, he's going to be slightly faster at taking that shot and taking down Config, and that leaves just 2 on 5 at the A bomb site, at least for a couple of seconds here, and I don't think they're going to be able to make it out of this one. Blamef with a nice shot on Emmy. That's going to make a tiny bit of a difference. He actually picks up the AK. I don't know why FPX are so slowed down, but it's worked for them in the past, so maybe they're just going back to that.
Yeah, they were sitting behind their own smoke there on long, so they're clearly happy to just really run down the clock, and here comes Madden. Swing from JKS for the trade. It's his turn to get that AK into his hands, but it's the A site that might be tested, or maybe not. FPX are still taking their time here with 30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and I think they might have made a little bit of noise intentionally. I think they actually just baited them, but Farlik, he still goes down to Poison, who seems to be on point with any weapon at the moment here. Sen jumping up to take down Rush. 14 seconds on the clock, and we're back into another 2-on-2. And so far, all of them have gone the way of FPX, and this one is setting up exactly the same way. JKS coming in from the other side of the map in a 1 versus 2 now. He doesn't have a kit or any grenades or anything like that. Last time was a flashbang that ruined his life, but at least this time they don't have one of those picked up, so he's going to have at least a chance for a quick fight, and it's going to have to be lightning fast as well. He can't really spend any time doing this. Sen will take him down, and it is another round for FPX at 12-2 in their favor going into the 15th round.
Almost flawless so far for FPX. Pretty much everything has been going right for them. I think they have had a few rounds where the timings have certainly favored them, but sometimes you get the instinct on that. Sometimes you get the hunch as to what your opponents might be doing, and all of the plays they've made have been pretty much the right ones, right plays at the right time, all pretty much secured effectively, right? No real mistakes made in there, which I think is another important aspect.
It's been really, really cool to watch FPX do this. And again, I was slightly questioning the slowdown, but it turned out to be just great. They have such a good read on what's going on. And now, Complexity, they're tired of this. Now they're going to go and just man-fight them down the middle, taking down Stiko as well, and leaving Maiden on his own 1 versus 5. So, I mean, this is good news. I guess they get to get that 3rd round, but it's very late to try and pick this one up, isn't it?
Yeah, nothing happening at the end there. 3 rounds secured by Complexity. A lot more for them to do, though, to come back here on Inferno. We'll see if they can do it after the break.
Since I was a child, now it's showing its ugly face. What can I do? Music creeps into my dreams, wakes me into sweaty sheets, abandons me when nights died out. What can I do? What can I do? Stop this get fight. Stop this get fight.
Welcome
12-3.
back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is
That's the score.
Oh my God, you're right. 12-3. I in that 2 minutes, Hawker, I just even forgot. I forgot. Well, you know that it was. It was like a vacation from the suffering of complexity, even for me. But we're back into reality, and they are really getting beat up.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Complexity fans. I had to remind you, just in case you forgot in that quick break, because god damn, it's not been going well for them. Maybe their T side will be a bit better, though. It's going to be pretty important for them to win this pistol round. Emmy playing with fire on Banana, and he's going to get burned by poison. Quick double, and that is the sort of start that Complexity were looking for.
Yeah, really well done. And just looking at the scoreboard for Complexity, it's not that they are that far behind necessarily. And I mean, we did have a lot of 2-on-2s that just all went the way of FPX. So it's not like Complexity were not doing anything. But what they were doing just weren't resulting in rounds, and that's obviously an issue. Okay, through the smoke, I guess.
I kind of written this round off in my head, but if they can keep doing that, they've got a chance. They need to get the kills, though, and you can already see Complexity aware of that fact. They're just sitting back and forcing the CTs to make the move.
Yeah, there's no kit currently picked up either. Rush is going to get one more kill, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Just very measured play here from Complexity. It's nice to see Sen trying to make it a bit of a highlight reel for himself before JKS will hunt him down. So they pick up a 4th round. At a minimum, they had to get this one, right? Like now they have at least a launch pad for the rest of this, and we'll see how far it can go. I don't know. I mean, these kind of games are tricky, aren't they? When it's 12-4 and you feel like, you know, how long do they have to make it back before it becomes a serious game once again, you know?
Well, I'm just focusing on this round first, honestly, Anders, because they did have a couple they lost in that first half against those lower buys.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, one round at a time, so that's a reasonable mentality to try and just not think too far into. I'm sure that Complexity are trying not to do that as well. It was a terrifying display in that first half, and we'll see if FPX can bring the same kind of measured and calm play to the second half here. They're throwing that smoke that people are throwing all the time now. Have you noticed this, where like, there is that gap? It's just become such a common thing.
And I think Complexity were aware of it, because they just threw that nade right where Madden was trying to peek the smoke from. So you can already see the evolution of that.
Yeah,
it's so hard
don't
to
want
keep up these days, isn't it?
Yeah, they change, you know, almost every day, it feels like. But yeah, that one's been in style for a little bit. They're going to give up on that banana position, which I think FPX don't know yet, but they're just all over the place moving around, aren't they?
Now goes that smoke from Stiko. Still a good bit of time remaining for Complexity, and they themselves are going to take some control towards Log. The smoke will allow them to cross safely. Bit of damage for their troubles, but they can start to wrap this A site.
Farley definitely with more than a couple of opportunities there. Blamef is going to be catching Sen and Stiko. He's up in the apartments again. That is his home.
Oh.
That's too bad. But at least he died where he wanted to be, I suppose.
He died as he lived in the apartments.
Just up there. Well, this is, I mean, again, it's some really small beginnings coming out here for Complexity, but it's nice to see them make it through this round without too much trouble, and again, it looked like they had a nice amount of control in this round, so that'll make it 12-5, still heavily in favor of FPX, and we'll see if there is going to be, you know, the real test will obviously be that rifle round that's going to be coming up soon. That's where we want to see Complexity come up with something big.
Yeah, and I don't get the feeling that they were playing really badly in the first half. I think there were a couple of rounds where timings kind of went against them. You know, they try and flash poison into Banana, and he goes down, and they have to completely readjust their setup. I just think there were the ideas that Complexity were going for at times, just one thing went slightly wrong, and then from there you quickly have to adapt, and it can be pretty hard to do so. So I don't think there were any glaring holes in their game from that first half. I just think it was a pretty effective performance from FPX, and maybe a couple of unfortunate rounds for Complexity, a couple they shouldn't have lost. But that hopefully means that they can come through and make this a competitive game. This round, though, shouldn't be too competitive up against the Pistols.
I can't believe that Madden is is still alive. I felt like he walked into the Mac 10 and got grenaded, and I don't know how he still lives through that. Stico, I mean, again, nice attempt trying to see if he can catch someone there with the deagle, but he's going to be found instead. And they've done a lot of damage already, Complexity. There's a good shot, taking down Config. That's going to make up for a little bit here. But they should be able to group up and use this to their advantage, although Stico's actually pushing out. If he goes far enough, they could rotate 3 people to be in time. That would be fun.
He just heard a nade being thrown into the apartments, did Stico. So I think he's going to be really hot on his heels looking for this frag. Unfortunately, he is met by the AK of JKS, and now FPX might have to think twice about their setup. Only Zen on the A side of the map. He's not even committed to the bomb site, and he could well just get smoked off before he's even allowed to do anything. But they are going to push his position.
I mean, for a P250, that's a dream range there. It's all one-shot headshot, but he didn't get a single one. So Complexity also managing to slow down the game a little bit and find the right position and make quick work of this. So that's got to be considered great news. Farlig and Maiden, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're going to be fighting for the round, even with that headshot. But certainly fighting to get some rifles. That would be great.
Farlig will take that all day. AK given over to his teammate. He'll stick around to see if he can do much more. The smoke on short is causing some issues for Complexity. They can't fully run away from the site, which is slightly annoying, but they're going to boost up over the top of it. I like that adaptation from Complexity, trying to force Farlig away. You always have that option of just going back to the pit, though, but they don't even need it. They get that kill, and Madden will just decide to save that AK.
Yeah, which is still, I mean, I think that's pretty respectable, right? You get 2 kills, you steal an AK-47, you still have some armor. I think that's a nice result for the round here for FPX, even if they don't win it. So now we're up to 12-6. I mean, 3 rounds going in the right direction, but this is the real deal, the real test here, and it'll be fun to see both how FPX play it, but also how Complexity approach this. I mean, FPX have a chance here, I think, to just test out their default. They have enough of a buffer. They don't have to go for anything wild, but obviously, you know, you could try and just end it quick and just try and win this round.
Well, Farlig had a pretty good B spawn here, but he decides not to peek with it. He's just going to play top banana with that AWP, and maybe for good reason, because Complexity themselves are using a decent amount of utility. If he did commit, he would have been trapped by that molly, so nice for him that he doesn't go for that early fight. Instead, he finds one later in the round. The peek into him, and that AWP already coming into play on the CT side.
Yeah, kind of an interesting move there, just pushing out that far without too much support, because they had already done, I think, the hard job of clearing top banana without really taking too much damage. So sometimes you'll be happy to just get that on the T side, but they wanted to keep pushing the envelope and ultimately getting shut down. So a bit of a lead here for FPX in the round number 19. And Emmy, he wants to go for the peak. He could have just as well been dead, but that was a Mac 10 on the other side. They're going to be flashing their way through and trying to put some pressure on him. And only 2 people inside of the bomb site. It feels like Complexity actually want to try and see if they can push this all the way through. And I don't know about that. The longer they wait now, they're really deep in. They almost can't fall back. And backup has been called for. What a weird round this is. 40 seconds now, Orca.
Oh, and they're trying to go through. That was Zen's smoke that he deployed. Stico's still in the pit. He's got to make sure he's not ganged up on here, and he's got the assistance he needs. USP out for the final kill, and it's all about that smoke from Zen on long, right? If he gets wrapped quickly before he can put down that smoke, Complexity would have had a good chance to get access to the site. But you're right, just that slowdown makes all the difference.
Because I feel like they saw a cool weakness in the defense there as soon as they managed to push Emmy back. But it's almost one of those things where you can't really stop and question that. You almost have to keep going at the same pace. As soon as you do, yeah, like that, it's just not going to be working out the same way. So, especially when you're leading with a Mac 10. So I don't know. I wish they would have kept going. But hindsight's always 20/20 as well. 13-6 though, and FPX, that was their first buy round in the second half. If they can keep going at this rate, they only need to win, like, you know, maybe even just one more round, and the economy is going to be gone for Complexity.
Farlig took a bunch of early nade damage there. I think FPX wants some of that utility damage back. They haven't been too effective so far. Rushes past this molly. They might not expect him to be here, but the flash is good enough. Emmy gets one, as does Madden. And now Poison has to try and hold on. He's finally trying to fight back, but it might be too little too late. They're down to a 2v4.
Yep, Stiko got his kill over at apartments as well, so he's doing work, taking down Config, just like he was in the first half. That's going to be really annoying. It is a 2-on-3, but yeah, that fight at top banana was devastating to Complexity, and it even looked like they kind of knew that something was coming. They just didn't have a way to react. Stiko, that's an important kill, but Poison will still take him down. So now, well, a 1-on-3 for Poison, and he's already got the 1 kill. Emmy thinking about going for the smoke before his teammates even showing up. That is so dangerous, but he actually has made it through. And Poison, he's got no way of knowing that. He will probably never expect it, although now they're making noise. He's going to come back and get baited into Farleague, and that's going to be the kill. So that actually, I mean, that looks a bit crazy, in my opinion, for Emmy to make that first move. But once he was through, it looked really solid.
I suppose it's high risk, high reward, right? You push through, you get a pretty good position for yourself. Assuming they're not watching the smoke, you can get onto the site much quicker. Gives him a really good chance to just bait that shot out for Farleague, who is always really solid at just holding angles like that. I think that's a big benefit to Farleague's playstyle. I think he's got a very high hit rate when he's just holding those angles. And now Complexity are the ones on the back foot, having to force buy 14-6 down. It's a must-win for them.
It really is. A little bit of a flash into the middle, and Sen, he saw a lot of players there, and he still decided not to go crazy. He didn't stick around for that fight. He just said, "All right, I'm either gonna throw a grenade and fall back." That's some nice and measured play once again. And now with all the chaos in the middle, you see Madden is going up through the middle, and he's gonna be catching a 3 kill on JKS. Again, they look so incredibly good. FPX. It's 15-6. They're dominating Complexity on this first map.
Just felt like in that round, Complexity, it's almost like they showed up to the club, they put all their best clothes on, and they didn't even get past the queue, Anders. Like halfway through the queue, someone came over to them and just chucked them out. They were never getting into that round.
Yeah, outrageous, isn't it? FPX, they're playing, I don't know, I mean, I think this is a discussion yesterday on the mainstream. People were talking about, you know, if you want to become a really good team, then generally speaking, having a strong Inferno is a good building block, and FPX are certainly showing us a lot of cool stuff right here. Config with an early kill, running Deagle shot, it almost looked like, but they don't have any more rope left here. They got to win every single round.
Poison's been able to sneak away with that AWP, which I'm sure he will be very happy to have in his hands. Gives them the chance for more picks. With that man advantage, Complexity are content to just spread across the map, keep their control briefly. This is where FPX might take a gamble, though. When you go down a man on Inferno, you kind of feel like you have to do something, and that kill from Madden will certainly help out. Yeah,
almost a bit desperate there. It looked like he was nearly down. He's on 14 health, so they've actually stacked the bomb site. They've got 3 people here taking a big risk, FPX, but they could be rewarded for it. And Complexity, I mean, if this is how they lose the map, that's going to be so frustrating. Just, you feel like in this kind of a 4-on-4, there shouldn't be 3 people to be bomb site. But guess what? That's exactly what's happening here. Some smokes are going in. Madden will go down eventually, but Sen hiding back here, lining them up. He's going to be patient about it. It gets 1, 2, and a third one to add on top. Almost taking down JKS. That is so incredibly close. Just look at the patience before he takes that first shot. And now it's a 1-on-1 with 20 seconds left. JKS hiding all the way back there. Stiko, who is at 21 kills, looking to tie himself up with Sen and see if he can finish at evens. And it's only 14 seconds here. JKS, he's looking for him. He wants him. And actually, the bomb is up in the fountain. So he's going to have to try his career as a hot tub streamer instead. It's going to be short-lived, though, as he'll be taken down by Stiko. And it's 16-6 instead.
16-6 for FPX at the end there. Wow. That was a rather one-sided start to this series. And look, a great showing from the FPX guys. A really exciting start for us.
Truly was. What an incredible performance early on. Well, that is the end of the first map, and we'll be back with a little bit of talk and obviously the second map coming up after the break.
Child, now it's showing its ugly face. Stop this get fight. Stop this get fight.
Alright, welcome back ladies and gentlemen. We are here with the second map, but also to discuss that first one, which was outrageous. Alan, you made some notes. What did they say?
Not a lot of good things about complexity, unfortunately, Anders. That first half was, in CS we often say, maybe wrongly that, if a few rounds had gone differently, that could have been a very different scoreline. I feel like this is a game where that could have been a 12-3 half for complexity if they had converted those after-plant scenarios, those 2-on-2s. Every time Styko lurking out the apps, killing everybody, every 2-on-2 situation went the way of FPX. So I don't know exactly what went wrong for complexity during that first half. I wrote down that perhaps communication problems, maybe they're just getting flustered, maybe it's just the first game of the day, but whatever was going wrong there in those after-plan and late round scenarios, that cannot happen on Vertigo, or this will be a 2-0 for FPX. So I don't know what you guys felt actually casting it, but for me watching it sat here, it was just every single late round scenario, it just felt like FPX had their number, they were coming better, they were being the proactive team, and yeah, complexity just fell apart ultimately on that, that first half.
Hawker, real quick, I mean, just looking at the stats here, this doesn't look like the kind of 16-6 beat up, does it? Like, that's the curious part in some ways.
Yeah, it definitely felt like there were a lot of competitive rounds in there, right? I think looking at the stats, only 3 of the rounds for FPX actually came down to a 1vX situation. But like Alan was saying, a lot of tight rounds where you feel like they've put themselves into a decent enough position. The overall game plan seemed fine. It's just a lot of small things just seem to go against them in a lot of different moments in that game. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as maybe the scoreline looks for complexity. I hope they can just stay positive, because that probably is a bit of a harsher scoreline than really they played. They definitely didn't deserve to lose quite that badly.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think, a bit shocking, a bit interesting, but it was another one of those, for me, moments thinking, wow, FPX are a really fun team to watch. So I'm happy that was the experience, though. For complexity, I have to be honest, I felt like there was a lot of things lacking that I was, expecting. And, even we're just looking at the scoreboard there, but you look at someone like Poison, he was hitting some insane shots. So it's not like they didn't have anything to do either, but it just somehow wasn't enough. I mean, do you think if they replay this, Alan, another 10 times, that we'll see like a similar kind of thing? Like just Inferno, I mean.
It's a good question. I think certainly if you did it now in retrospect, when they could think about the game and how it played out, yes, I do think it would go pretty differently, and you could even see towards the very end of that first half, they just threw like caution to the wind and just got super aggressive down mid and stuff like that, because they just knew if it goes late round, we're going to lose this guy. So they just had enough. The round that really sticks in my memory, I don't know if you guys remember this one, I think it was Complexity anti-eco. They pushed Banana, they went up 5-on-3, and then the FPX players got into CT spawn, and from there everything just fell apart. All the rotates were off. Maybe the communication was really getting flustered in that sort of scenario. And that was the one that really sticks in my mind for kind of epitomizing the kind of the whole first half there, where Complexity, in a lot of rounds, they did actually get into good positions. We saw on the stats they were relatively even in terms of just the kill death and those sort of things. But it was just those late round scenarios getting it over the line. So, we saw quite a few positives for Complexity, but we just need to see them closing out the rounds. And, going into Vertigo, there are going to be a lot of afterplants. So that will be important going into the second map.
Well, just maybe on that front, because we do have Vertigo coming up. What was the other map that you said maybe Complexity could have picked for the second one that you were happy they didn't? Because you wanted this to Vertigo to come up, didn't you, Alan?
Give me a second. I thought they were going to pick... Well, I thought it'd be between Mirage and Vertigo. Right. Mirage has been their main pick in other series, but just looking at the way the two teams matched up, I was just thinking, okay, they've got a good win round on Vertigo. They seem relatively comfortable. It seems like a map where FPX on the flip side, maybe they're not as used to it. Maybe it's a map where, on Inferno, everybody knows how to default. Styko's great at playing apps apparently now, so maybe that isn't the case on a Vertigo where they're more uncomfortable. So in that sense, I'm still looking forward to a good game from Complexity on Vertigo. It's just, going into this one, a key focus should be the afterplant scenarios, and being Vertigo, you're guaranteed to get, at least 10 of those or something on the A-bomb site. So they need to be closing those ones out.
Well, Hawker, what about you? Do you have something? I mean, you actually mentioned Stico and the apps, and then he showed that 10 times in a row after you'd said it, so that was perfect. Do you have a sense of how they're going to be on this Vertigo map, or do you have any expectation for either of the teams here?
I do remember when FPX had Crystal in the lineup, this was one of the maps I feel like they did innovate slightly on when it was first coming around, but I don't know if they'll have that now. Right now that the map's been out for a while, I don't know how much more there is to innovate on it. I think they were one of the first teams I saw who would do that boost up over on the B site, where you boost up behind that little wood thing, and you can quickly kind of burst onto B. Problem is, you don't see much B play on Vertigo, so honestly, we might not even get to see those sorts of things. So I'd love to see if they've come up with some new stuff, but I don't really see them play this map a lot because I don't think they're that great on it, sadly.
Well, just on that particular topic, in terms of being well prepared and all the rest of it, how much do we want to chalk that up to Emmy's role in this team? I mean, on Inferno and on the second one, because they looked like the game plan was almost unbelievably well tailored to what Complexity we're bringing to this one. So how much should we push this onto Emmy, do you think, Alan?
It's a good question. I'd say in general, just with CS, you have to kind of look at the in-game leader and the coach as a package when it comes to preparing for games. So we have to kind of add in Devil Walk to this discussion.
Yes.
I would say in general for a team like FPX, you have to imagine, considering how soon Emmys come into this lineup, they've got to really be focusing the majority on themselves and working out what rounds work for them. How do you want to call this half? Clearly in that first game, it looked pretty good. So I'd imagine they've, of course, probably done some prep. They probably watched some demos. But for the most part, in their scrims, they're almost certainly just focusing on themselves. And in terms of what FPX are actually going to look like in this game, something you guys should look out for is them getting really aggressive towards that A-ramp area. They love to get super aggressive, coming through the Ivy or the short area, whatever you guys like to call it, and down the yellow area on flashes at the start. They get super aggressive, super kind of punchy. Madden and Emmy, both of them, just love just getting up in the face of their opponents with their rifles. So hopefully we see that in this game. And then from the Complexity perspective, we might not have seen it in the first game, but they can play a really sensational CT half of pushing for information and making good reads, which will be important on a map like Vertigo, where it is these days getting quite dynamic. So hopefully from both teams, we see a good match, closer scoreline, and we have some fireworks, Anders, going to the second map.
I certainly hope so. I mean, do you think, Alan, that we're going to... Because actually, Poison did get some good shots, and do you think the AWP is going to be more or less impactful on this second map for someone like Poison, a player of his caliber?
No, but not because of Poison. It's just typically how Vertigo plays. CT side, there's just so few options you can have on your AWP, and unless, to be honest, your opponents are misplaying and giving you loads of opportunities, you're not gonna... It's not a map like Inferno where there's so many options and so much stuff you can do mid-round, you can have so much impact. It's not like that. It's more dare I say, more like a supportive role where you're throwing the nades for your teammates, you're holding this angle, you're communicating well. So he can certainly have an impact, but I would not expect Poison to take over this game. I'd definitely be looking at, Config and Blame F, they're big rifling heavy hitters. Those are the ones that need to show up here and, show us why. At the start of this series in the pregame, we were saying Complexity, they got these great players, they should be performing better so far throughout Flashpoint.
Well, I'll take that as your final thought. Hawker, though, do you have anything you want us to look for particularly before we get into Vertigo in a couple of minutes?
I'm just glad that Alan pointed out that, Madden's going to be playing aggressively towards that ramp spot, because I think we've seen how much impact a player can have when they're playing well as an aggressive rifler on that ramp position, right? Like, we've seen it probably with Yakinda in the past on Virtus Pro. You can have a huge influence on the game there, and Madden's definitely the type of player who loves taking fights. So I would say he's probably the most important player to watch for this one.
All right, well then we'll keep our eyes on him, and then we'll get into the second map, but only after the break. Alright then, well, we're back once again. I've got Hawker here with me, and I mean, we're leading into this the second Vertigo, and as we're on a break here, Alan was chiming in just asking about the, you know, the sort of overall feelings about Vertigo. Where are you on this map currently? How do you feel this is playing out now that it's been here for a while?
I feel like I don't dislike it as much as a lot of other people dislike it. For me, like, maps like Dust 2 is still probably more frustrating for me to watch than Vertigo, because I think there are some cool things with those ramp fights. I think it has its sort of distinct place where it is unlike any other map, which it is kind of cool to see. I still think it could do with some changes, but it looks like now we're getting to the point where those changes seem to be slowing down. Seems like Valve are kind of happy with where the map is right now, so yeah, I'm unsure if we'll get any more changes on the map, but I don't hate it too much. I'm slightly more up on it than I think other people are. How about you?
Yeah, well, I really feel like I started out hating this map a lot, and I guess in contrast to that, I've come a long way to enjoying it for I guess a couple of different reasons. In terms of where Valve are, I'm sure that they're just collecting data on it, and we've been calling this map like the A Execute Simulator, which I think is that's a catchy title for it. I like that. And if that actually keeps being true, even when you look at the statistics for it, and maybe not just even competitively, but in matchmaking, I'm assuming too, and I think Valve take a really broad perspective on that. Maybe something will change over time, and they'll find a way to change that B bomb side if that's what they need, or just make A more tricky. I don't know. You could go both ways, but it is interesting. Like, there are some challenges that you have to overcome on this map that you can't overcome in the same ways. Like, just the fact that you can't necessarily run on the lower part of the map to try and get somewhere else, because that's going to give the whole game away. That's a different challenge that on a lot of other maps in a way. So I think that's kind of fun. I'm no longer sad when I see Vertigo in the pool. I'll be honest.
I think for me, quite a lot, it depends more on the teams that are playing it. So, like Furia, for example, I actually kind of love watching them on this map, because I just don't know what Art's going to do next. I've seen him get run boosted down B stairs with an AWP on CT side at the start of the round and just try and take a fight. And I'm just there like,
what we need.
Is that viable? I guess it's viable on this map, but it's cool when teams have cool ideas like that. I think that B site is the big talking point, and with me, the talking point about B is that I just get the feeling that B site that it almost feels very much all in or all out for the T's. Like, I think you almost have to play the post plant from the site, because getting onto those stairs is not really a good spot to watch the bomb from. So it kind of feels to me like it's you have to go all in on taking the site, and then you don't really have many good options for the post plant, is the feeling I get, which is one of, I think, the bigger issues on B. I think you can take the site okay. It's just kind of hard to do much in those post plants sometimes, I feel anyway.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that there are some issues, but I still think in some ways it's too early. I know it's been in the map pool for a while, but I kind of like the idea that we're just going to leave it here for a little bit and let the competitive scene figure it out on its own. Yeah, these are some of the highlights from the last game, and hopefully it will be a little bit less one-sided. This is one of the famous 2-on-2s that FPX won all of the time. Yeah, I mean, I think that what's so interesting tactically on a map like Vertigo, from my point of view, is that because there is so much action over at A, the temptation for the T side, for the CT side, is to stack almost immediately 3 on A, 1 middle, and even the mid guy is like mid-leaning A, and then, the fourth guy on B, or the fifth guy is on his own, more or less. And I feel like if you're on the T side of that, just the idea that you could try and strat against that in some weird way by by putting pressure on that kind of tendency and trying to make them do that more until you find the right round where then you punish that solo B player on the CT. I think there's an interesting kind of storytelling that goes on throughout the rounds if teams get it right. But I mean, there are some teams that never do, and then it can get just a bit weird, really a little bit repetitive. So I don't know. I want to see more of it. I'm not calling it out like I was earlier, so I guess it's all right. And the final one is Nuke, I believe, the third map in the pool here. So that could also get interesting if we hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, I think one thing I do like on Vertigo is when you get that play around mid. I think that's kind of a cool position where it oftentimes feels like it can just be sort of a 1v1, almost like weird lurk sort of fight, where if you're the T and you can actually sneak a kill in that spot, it can cause so many issues for the CTs, actually, if you can get away with that, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, the problem is we don't always see that. I think it is very team dependent for me, which again is can be good, can be bad, and I'm not sure what we're going to see from these two teams, honestly. So I'm hoping there will be a bit of diversity in them.
Yeah, I don't have a very good read on what FPX are doing, so I'm just gonna enjoy it. I think I've been loving their game so far, so I don't see why Vertigo would be that much different. So complexity, I just hope that they're gonna be, living up to the name here and really trying to do a fair bit of work. So that'll be interesting. Did you keep an eye on what's happening in the other game on the first map? Because I didn't really get to track that. But do you have did you check the update for that one? That's Vitality playing. Who are they playing?
They're playing Heroic.
Oh yeah, it's Heroic.
Yeah. Apparently, they won the first map 16-11. I didn't catch any of it, but Heroic, got that first map, got their own pick. I think Vitality are looking a bit better, though. Like, they were looking pretty rough at the start of this tournament.
Yeah.
So I'm glad some of those teething issues are getting sorted out.
Yeah, me too. I was really worried because, I mean, that was like the fastest drop-off, wasn't it, from being at a really high level, like number one almost, like at least for like a brief weekend or something, and then just a complete crash from there on out. It was really horrific to watch, so happy to see that. I mean, that and Heroic is a really strong opponent, obviously, so the fact that they even got something done then is actually really cool. I'm glad to hear that. And obviously the second match that we have on this stream is Sprout versus... Damn, I'm misremembering that now as well.
Anonymo, I believe.
Oh, it's Anonymo, yeah. That should be real interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be exciting to see some newer teams from our perspective. Sprout have always been around that sort of area. They've gone full German now, which was a bit surprising to me because they had Dihar, who I thought was a really good player, that Polish player who's gone over to Ents. So I'm really just intrigued to see the firepower on that team because I think they lost a couple of their big hitters in terms of fragging. So that's the main thing I'm looking out for in that series. Yeah, I'm curious as well. Anonymous seem like a really well-motivated team. They seem really awesome at the moment, I would say. So, yeah, I don't know. The Sprout project has been going on for a long time, and it feels to me like the people who are running that project are, fairly serious with what they're doing and really trying to turn it into something. So, I'm willing to be along for the route, right? I feel like it's worth it to stay invested into Sprout for a little bit longer and seeing where they go with it. Hopefully they can make that work. It would be cool if there was... I mean, I feel like German Counter-Strike in some sense is like the big disappointment of like European CS because there's, I think, 68 million people in Germany or something, I think, just from memory, and it's, they have a long history with the game. They have epic legends that have played like all the way back in like both Source and 1.6. Like, they have all this to sort of look upon. And I just don't feel like they're getting the most out of it. And I wish they would. I wish that could be fixed. And maybe it just takes like a couple of good German teams to really like show the way, and we could have something interesting there. I hope so. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see some of the players they've picked up. I don't really know too much about. So that's the main excitement for me. Maybe there are some up and coming German players we can watch out for. I was looking actually, Anders, at the stats just for the last 3 months, the top 20 teams, and something that actually kind of surprised me and kind of caught me off guard is that in the last 3 months, ZywOo is back to being the highest rated player by actually a decent distance over Simple. He's got a 1.37 rating in the last 3 months compared to Simple's 1.3. So that's a great sign. Like I thought it was kind of locked in this year for Simple to get that best player spot, but maybe if ZywOo's going to be back, maybe we've got to check ourselves before ZywOo wrecks him. That we all have to hope for that. That would be amazing if we get to that level, because the battle between those two is obviously so exhilarating. So I'm holding out for that. I want that to be the real fight this year in some sense, especially if we can get back on LAN at some point. But before we get anywhere, near that level of excitement, we're going to go to a quick break before we get this game underway as they're getting the server up and running. So just stay with us, and we'll be right back with the second map here in the best of 3.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready with the game, finally. We're going to be on the second map on Vertigo. Hawker, how are you feeling for this one? It's been a little bit of a break that we had here, but do you think Complexity just... do they have what it takes to get us to a third map on Nuke, or is it going to end here?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good for Complexity. I think they should be able to come strong here on Vertigo. They've had a good bit of time to reset. I'm sure being at home helps with that too. You can just take a bit away from the game, and now they can get back into things and get ready to show us why they picked this map.
I certainly hope so. I want that to be the story as well. I think we deserve that third map. So big welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here to the second stream. There is obviously the main stream also going on, but Hawker and I will take you through the evening with Alan as well, providing some analysis along the way. Complexity on the T side, FPX on the CT side, and they are going to be quick up the A ramp, trying to see if they can put some pressure on. They've got that deep Molotov to try and force anyone out, but no one is there, and there is a four-man stack, about to be 5 here at the bomb side. Poison, though, will land the first kill on Sender, take him down. He's going to be dropped, and now it's just trading all over the place into a 3-on-3.
That bomb's dropped. They have to commit to this A site to get that back. Rush will do just that. He's going to go ahead and try and get that down, but they might be pushing him. Oh, that bomb is planted just in time, and now they get a chance to play that post plant.
Oh, and Blamef, he was actually back there with the P250, normally a very powerful position in an afterplant. Config trying his very best. And at the end, as we're just watching Blamef's long descent, he's going to hit the pavement at one point, guys. It's coming. Oh, there's a cone there.
He's joined the cone. Wow. That was unexpected.
I mean, he was already dead, so I guess it can't really have been painful. But if you were going to fall from like 52 stories, I feel like landing on a cone would just be adding insult to the whole thing, you know? I feel like that would be unwarranted, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. Well, that's a rough beginning here. What can we say about that?
Yeah, not much, I think, honestly. I guess we'll see what we can do once we get back into this second round, because Complexity have plenty of money and a couple of AKs that they've decided to spend it on.
Oh, man. Yeah, FPX obviously looking, I think, individually really crisp. I mean, Stiko was playing really well. Sen was playing really well on that first map. But as a team, that's where they looked so well-oiled on that first one. So if it's going to continue in the same fashion here on the second map, yeah, I mean, Complexity might not even have a chance. It's early days, so I don't want to be, you know, too alarmist about it. But the fact that they lost that pistol round, you know, they probably need that boost of energy early on here, especially after a bit of a break. And they did buy into this round after the bomb plant, so that's interesting.
A lot of firepower for them. Not as much utility, but you only need a couple of smokes onto this A site to try and muscle your way onto it, if that is indeed what you want to go for. It looks like that is the idea that Complexity have right now, but this boost could cause some issues.
Yeah, Madden is here. Nice kill onto Poison. That is really going to be helping out. Bit of a start, and it also, I think they also realize now that there are, you know, real weapons in play. If they couldn't guess already, then now they definitely know. Sen, not a great fight to take against the AK-47, but he's got nothing to prove. He can just wait here. They can't really grenade him out, and he's going to win the fight against Config anyway. And this attack towards the A bomb site just gets completely foiled. FPX taking care of that easily.
Yeah, so quick. They had a lot of players in position. They had that right side, that short side mollied off, so I think that helps them a lot. They're only focusing on that one side of the push, so they can have a couple of players looking at those angles, and as soon as they start to win those fights, it becomes a rather convincing round for FPX. Another strong start for them. A couple of AKs even in their hands early on the CT side. That should make this round even easier going up against those Deeks.
Yeah, that's what you dream of, isn't it? On that CT side, if you can get that AK-47 or a Krieg or something like that, if you can steal one of those over, that always feels so good. So just Deagles and FPX are really under no pressure here to try and do a lot. They don't actually have to go looking for much of anything. They could just relax and play this round out slowly, see what comes. Looked like there was going to be a run boost of sorts there, but Config's already down to 7 health, and they're just going to try and go for it. It's a nice attempt, but a little bit of a reposition for Sen, enough for him to get the second kill. And I think they're going to be fine this round. FPX is, again, looking real good.
Quick flash deploy. JKS has been boosted up, but I think you can see Zen's aware of the possibility It's actually Madden who comes in to steal that kill away. Huge rotation over to this site. No way that Complexity can get anything going. A clean sweep for FPX in the third round, but finally Complexity can get that full buy in their hands.
Yeah, the first real test of what we're going to see here out of the Complexity side. And just to remind you, I mean, we're playing for 9th to 12th place here in terms of the RMR points. It does make a difference. It is important. So, you know, even if the chances to finish all the way at the top are kind of not there for any of these teams, you still can't really just, you know, can't just relax and think of this as nothing. Those RMR points are going to be stacking out all throughout the year. So you want to take it seriously. Madden's already gone down. That was BlameF winning that fight over on the A ramp. That is great news, but there's a stack at B already. FPX, I don't even know how they know to do this. What's going on here? Oh, no! And Sen is going to find at least the kill. Stiko's there on the follow-up. He does get the grenade off, and I think they've seen the bomb, but I mean, they can fall back. It's at least a 3-on-3. What a wild play from FPX.
BlameF will get that bomb back. That looked like a hard read from FPX. I know oftentimes teams will have plans in mind for the first couple of rounds of the game, so maybe that's a go-to for Complexity, an early B-sided play, who knows? But FPX certainly seem to have a good idea as they stack it early. Pretty even on the health points, though, after that stack, and now the CTs are spread somewhat thin. Emmy's the only man committed to the A site, although, just as I say that, the rotate of Stiko is arriving to help him out.
40 seconds on the clock, and they still have a Molotov on Emmy, so, I mean, if that alone, that tool could just be so valuable in this kind of a late round scenario. Bit of a nade, I think it's going to land in between them, so yes, it doesn't really do that much damage, and Emmy goes down. Stiko, though, with a return through the smoke, and the bomb goes down into the A-bomb site, so yeah, 2-on-2. These were unwinnable on Inferno for Complexity. FPX won every single one of them, so hopefully that is not going to be the story. BlameF in a really hard position to clear, especially if he's got some teammate there, but oh, Falik, he shoots him right through, and eventually BlameF has to come up from behind his cover to get shot in the face, and now it's Rush on his own, 1 versus 2. He's got a single kill yet. They're on the bomb already, and Falik will take him down. It is another 2-on-2 that goes the way of FPX.
Oh, everyone was so low on health at the end there. Rush landed 1 shot. It was close to being enough, but Farley gets away on 16 health in the end. All came down to the reaction times, and even though Rush fired first, Farley comes back at him. And that spot for BlameF getting cleared out makes a huge difference. It does end up being an A-sided play. It does end up being a bomb plant, which gives Complexity the ability to continue to buy. But I'm hoping it's not the same story repeating itself from Inferno, where we had a bunch of close rounds, and then Complexity could just never actually win them.
I mean, it seems almost cruel, doesn't it? You know, if you were gonna win in 2 maps, at least don't let them all the time think that, you know, that it's gonna be like, oh, almost like more 2v2s. It's just heartbreaking, isn't it? But that is in fact what is happening, at least so far. Now, let's see. They are 3 over towards the A side, but they don't feel anything there. And they're going to start to draw that defense back and maybe a little bit closer to the middle. And they have, I mean, right now, only now, Farlig is really showing up towards the middle. So, I like this from FPX. They seem so responsive to the kind of pressure that they're feeling or not feeling on the map.
This is where Complexity will start to gain some of that ground back, though. Poison the man leading the charge up ramp, and wow, FPX are clearly aware of it. They've heard enough to start to stack over to A. Just always adapting, always making sure they have players in the right places, and Madden's the man aggressive early, catching BlameF out. They want to fight this, but Rush and JKS come right back at them. Headshots all across the board, and just like that, the A site is lost.
From 0 into 3 kills for Rush. That is a really nice comeback into the early half here. Stiko set up in a nice position. Going to be a straight headshot to take down Config. I don't know how much more he can really expect to do from here. But that looked like it was almost some kind of a domino effect there. As soon as they got the first kill at the corner of that A-ramp, it just spiraled out of control. Stiko has got the right... Yeah, he sees the gun barrel, and he's just going to take down Rush right through, making it at the very least expensive. There is a kit on the ground. Unlikely for him to win the round, but he gets 1 more headshot, and now he taps the bomb. Does he hold it? He's still got another second here. Oh, and his poison going down. What an outrageous play from Stiko. 1 versus 4 turned into a victory.
How does he isolate all those fights? 1v4. It's all 1v1s at the end. He gets that first one, sure, you can understand that. Config just having planted the bomb strays out into the open. That's still a really cool angle to hold from Stiko to begin with, though. And then he starts to just turn it into one-on-ones. JKS was committed aggressively to the angle, and Poison had to try and look to the bomb at the end, but Stiko baits him out. Complexity can't buy a round win right now.
Just when you thought 2v2s were hard to lose, that is so outrageous. He played everything about that so incredibly well. And Complexity, they probably didn't even think that that was possible, so they didn't think about helping each other out. They were like, well, what? He's not even going to come, is he? And then by the time they realized, it was almost too late. Now, not only are they winning the fight at the A ramp, but Sen is pushing down, and so is Stiko on the other side, so they're actually flanking this. Now, weirdly, the entire A defense has been wiped out after the fact, but I was going to say this double flank could really work wonders, though. Let's see if they're going to be aware of it. Blamev is looking. He's still going to be going down. And we've got another 2-on-2. Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. A nail-biting scenario for Complexity with how this game has been going so far for them. Zen's coming round. He spotted JKS, but JKS fights back, and that nade won't do enough. It does damage, but he needs the bullets, and he's got the angle onto the sandbags. It's a 1v1. No kit currently, but he has a smoke. There's kits on the ground. Zen's desperately searching for this kill, though, and Config has been so elusive. Still no kit in Zen's hands. He finally picks it up, and he might just have to get on it now, but he can't find it. Oh, dear. No way for Zen to win this one. Config plays it with his brains to win the one-on-one.
Yeah, man, you wonder if any of those kits were closer to the site, if you didn't have to run around quite as much, that could have been a very different outcome. But they do, in fact, win the 2-on-2, and that's in spite of the fact that that round had a pretty dreadful start. So, good stuff for Complexity. I'm glad to see it. We need a lot more of that kind of play, but, it is a start, if nothing else.
It puts FPX down to a position where they've reinvested almost all their money into this round. Only Zen has any considerable cash in the bank. These nades have been pretty good for FPX, though. Early in a previous round, they did some nade damage. Now they do some nade damage early in this one on the B side of the map. Poison and Rush both down to about half health. And a bit of presence put towards B. Draws out some CT utility.
Oh, they're right on the other side. Stiko's got what could be an incredible one-way here. He's trying to duck down. It's just fading in front, but it's Config instead. Somehow able to see him a little bit earlier, and it is so dangerous to play around those smokes. I think maybe he should have had the advantage, but it's always very, very hard to tell from those angles. So, nice pick off at the beginning. 4-on-5, and with a minute left, which is a long, long time on this map.
Still a couple of smokes too for Complexity, which they can put into this A-bomb site. Yeah, and that's one of the nice things about Vertigo. 2 smokes is all you need to really cut off a lot of those angles.
You're definitely right. Oh, Emmy looked like he was going to get caught out in the open. Sen is there for a bit of a crossfire. He's smoking up behind him. Farlig is there, nearly getting that kill too. It's a 1-on-2, and Farlig will take down Blamev. They didn't actually have that many people defending that bomb site to start with, but it's somehow just lined up for them. I actually thought Emmy was going to be dead almost for free then.
Yeah, that was a really weird round. I thought Complexity might just set up with their nades, but it seemed like the one smoke came, but the second one never came. They were just going to try and push in and trade it out. And it just ends up being an absolute bloodbath in favor of FPX. They'll take that, but it was kind of hard to keep track of just how all those kills came in so quickly.
All right, so a slight moment of celebration. Hawker, like all of like 20 seconds for Complexity so far in this first half. They're like, yeah, oh, we're back to losing again. And this is really unexpected. I didn't see it coming, but I did say at the beginning, it's always fun to be wrong on these things. And FPX they're giving us a really amazing dose of reality right now, which is always unwelcome, but sometimes needed, I guess.
Yes, at least for Complexity. Unlike the UK and Eurovision, they have got 1 point on the board.
Single point. They made it. tragic.
Definitely not mad about it. Definitely not mad, of course.
Well, I said earlier, I think the play has to be to have endpoint field an all British lineup and put them in the Eurovision. I think that's where you want to go. Like, get that. It can't get worse. That's the upside, right? It just cannot get worse at this point.
You've got the CS vote on lock there. All the CS fans will come out and vote for them.
Listen, everything else that's a meme this year is kind of working. So, like, I feel like just go with that. Keep that going, and it's going to work eventually. It's 7-1 in favor of FPX, and I don't even know. Again, Complexity are getting kills. They're on the scoreboard now. Poison maybe a little bit lower than you would want, but it's not like they're not hitting any shots at all. They're just not winning the important rounds.
Yeah, it's always the key moments where it feels like it falls apart for Complexity. That is an excellent shot to begin with from Config, though. We know he's capable of shots like that. Great to see it coming out in this round. And now with a two-man lead, Complexity should, and I stress the word should, have a really good chance to win this one.
Ooh, Config trying to escape. He did actually try to bait out that fight a little bit. Emmy coming through, and that was... looked like it was through the smoke. Somehow taking down Blamef. That is wild. And now it's back into a 3-on-4. We've got plenty of time. Sen will pick up a kill, but Emmy, look at him. He's right on the edge of getting one more kill. And if he takes down Poison, suddenly it's back in their favor, and he gets that one for free. Poison just was not expecting it. So that changes, what, from a 4-on-3 into a 2-on-3 in favor of FPX now.
Why did I even say that this should be a round win for Complexity? Why would I say that?
Setting them up for failure.
Ooh. Oh, that molly's nice. Especially after you land the leg onto JKS. He's going to have a really hard time planting that bomb. And because of that, Rush tries to make a heads-up play.
Well, he's going to be going down. It's all on JKS. Oh, they line up for a big double. Farley on the other side. JKS to take it down 1 versus 3. And that is exactly what they needed.
That's the sort of play that will pump them up too. If you've listened to their comms at times, they're the kind of team that do like to go off of that hype. They will be hyping themselves up. They'll be getting excited. I think that's the sort of round they needed over on Inferno, where they just couldn't break through. A big round, a big play from an individual after he got legged to begin with. He got legged initially, got left in a 1-on-3, and those two players at the gens both get taken down with headshots. Barlig tries to find his way through, but there was no way in for him.
In terms of getting fired up, right? In those, this is you're absolutely right. This is where you need, though, to get the whole team going. Like this can't just be like a 1 and then we're back to the same, because that's exactly what happened on Inferno. Even when they won a round, it was like in that first half, it was straight back to losing again. So yeah, we need to see some kind of team explosion behind. That was a great round out of JKS. Really, really. I mean, maybe he was helped a little bit by the fact that they sort of ran in front of each other, but whatever. Like he rolled with it once it was on the way. That was good to see, and they need a lot more of that. 7-2 right now. FPX still heavily in the lead.
And JKS even had to plant out in the open, which always feels so vulnerable because of that molly on the site, but he managed to do it, and he managed to find a way. Now it's FPX's turn to try and do something with the weaker weapons. Only the 1M4 for Stiko, but this setup is so annoying. The transfer almost there. Emmy eventually taken down by Playmeth, but it's even trade so far.
Another 3-on-3. They're pretty quick. JKS is making his way up that stairwell towards the B bomb site. He knows now that something is definitely up. He's going to put down that smoke even if no one is there, because it'll still bait out more nades. You could see they're throwing all their EGs thinking that someone's inside of the smoke, and nobody was. And Farlik, like a madman, comes through the smoke to take down 2 with the FAMAS. But that's a cool play. I mean, it is something that people do even over on the A ramp behind the sandbags. You put out a smoke that, or a Molotov that you don't really need to put out, but it just does a lot of work for you.
And it causes you to have to clear more positions, and that's a big thing. Having to clear those different spots, you can't fully focus on one side of the site, which is oftentimes what teams are trying to do. You know, you clear out the sort of back site positions, and then you only have to be looking towards the right side of the site. But instead, it's just going to make it so much harder to have to clear out all those different angles and just constantly have that playing in the back of your mind.
Without a doubt. 8-2 though, and I don't know what they need right now. Complexity. I mean, we've had plenty of breaks, and it's they have an amazing lineup, but FPX actually just look like a much better team right now. That's crazy to say. I feel weird saying it, but it seems to be true right now.
Based on the performance so far, yeah, they look much better. I don't know if I've seen that lineup before from Emmy. Oh, that smoke. Interesting.
Getting
Where did it land?
some new flavor in there? I don't know.
It's landed on the right side here.
Yeah.
Okay. So Blame F can't take that fight early. It's cool.
Well, we're learning something new. We'll have to go back and study it maybe at some point. Farlig is in the middle with an AWP. Ooh, and he peeked out maybe a bit further than was needed. He's going to get punished for that, though. Emmy will line up a double kill of his own, and Sen is also in there to try and help out. Emmy doing a lot of work in this round. And overall, he's 14-6. That's not bad at all. It's another 3-on-3, and the bomb, though, ooh, I think it's been lost, hasn't it?
It has, but Blame F is trying to lurk out onto A, and once he does, he could maybe try and catch someone off guard. Down goes Rush towards mid. Madden has just moved into that spot. Blame F had the right idea, but Madden eventually starts to read it. And now it's JKS with another 1v3 he needs to win for his team. And this time they're not fighting him.
Oh, it's so tricky. JKS, he's going to get that one, but immediate trade. Madden takes him down. It is 9-2 in favor of FPX. Complexity, again, there's not even... He's not even getting the consecutive rounds, and that's what you need at the minimum, right, to do some real damage to the enemy team. But they're not even getting that far. This is a real disaster. I don't even know what to say. I'm shocked.
CT economy low because these rounds are fairly close. Round, you feel like you can maybe break through and start to get something actually happen here, and it hasn't so far.
No, not really. 12th round, Emmy's checking, sneaking in. This is some of the stuff that I think Alan was talking a little bit about. Them being fairly aggressive at that ramp. Now, they are going to get punished for it, but it is still one of those things, and especially when you're this far ahead, I feel like you're going to be even more incentivized. You want to try and see if you can steal that advantage back early on, so I still think it's really cool, but a bit of a shame that he got caught in the way that he did. So, we'll see. 9-12. More than a minute on the clock, and they need to win every single round here, Complexity. They don't have a lot left, it feels like.
Pumping the brakes pretty hard here after getting the early man advantage in this round. I like that Complexity are doing this. I think it gives them a bit of time to talk about just the intricacies of some of their pushes. Ensure that you have the right idea on the trades. Poison snuck all the way up onto A. He's going to hear Farley. He might be in trouble. Nade in hand. Poison comes round. Madden is at least able to get it back, but it's an even trade that Complexity will be pretty happy with. They hold that man advantage.
3-on-3 now. Sen will pick up a kill, and they're bringing the bomb back with 20 seconds, but that's being read, and the flashbang, that was a team flash. It's almost took down JKS, but they're going to get the kill on Stikio anyway. Down to 15 seconds. They need to make a cross in here, but Sen is holding the position with a Galil, so maybe not the most ideal weapon. Third player is coming in to try and help out, making a bit of a jump, but the bomb is on the ground, and the round has been lost. Just that one kill was enough. There was nothing they could do from there on out. Man, what a hard game this is right now for Complexity. Nothing is working out in their favor.
Slightly surprising to me that we don't just see Complexity group up once they got that 5v4. You see them spreading out heavily, having a couple of players move into A. The trades ended up working out okay onto that A site, but it looked like they were trying to sell a fake. And they only had the smoke for the one side of the site. They only had the one follow-up flash. So I guess FPX just didn't fall hard enough for it. They just decided, you know what? We only see one smoke. We don't think this is going to be the full A take. They stick to their guns on B. They get back there in time.
And even that, I mean, is in itself impressive from FPX point of view. You know, it's not easy to fake them out. It's not easy to make them over-rotate or do anything crazy like that. They are just... They're looking like a solid team right now. It's Emmy at 14-8. It's Madden at 13-6. So the two leaders right now on the board. And that's really impressive. And now I am starting to feel like to some extent here, Complexity, even on the fragging front, are starting to fall just a little bit behind, you know. They're maybe not having quite enough of an output. They've got that one AK though on Rush, so maybe that will be the difference.
I'll be hoping so. Round the corner, but Zen's got a tight angle on the hold, and the AK delivers. Quick fire double. BlameF eventually tries to fight back, but Farlig's still up close, and he's not seen anyone poke their head round the corner, so he's going to try and reclaim this ground.
Yeah, great information to get, you know, apart from the 2-on-1 trade. Just getting the follow-up and realizing that no one else is going to be there. He's going to keep pressing the issue as well. He's all the way around, so he really knows now that they're not going to be there. He goes to check the ladder, and if he's going to keep going down, I mean, he can flank them either way, whether they go A or B. It's just a question of timing for him. He's still just moving up, and in about a second, he's going to realize, nope, it's not the A-bomb site. And let's see, Stiko, he's holding over. He's got a smoke, and he just has to hold on. He just has to not die. Or get the kills.
Kill. Ooh. Oh, it's an awkward spray battle, but eventually JKS gets it, as does BlameF. So all of a sudden a 2v2, but this is the flank.
Oh no, they didn't even get the bomb down, so now it's a one-on-one. BlameF though on point, and he's going to try and fake it out. Emmy though, not really falling for it. He's going to go for a little bit of noise then. Now it's getting awkward. 16 seconds on the clock, and BlameF, he's out in the open, and Emmy will take him down. Just a one-on-one, and another clutch goes the way of FPX. Outrageous.
Yeah, gotta give huge props to Emmy in this game.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to be a huge fragger for this team, but he's so far delivered pretty well. On this map specifically, he has been fantastic. And then, yeah, that move from Farlig was just great. Just getting them that information. They're able to get back towards B. They're able to get that flank going, even though they lost a couple of the early kills. It's all looking good right now for FPX. It could be another one-sided map for them in a very one-sided series.
Yeah, shockingly so. I certainly did not see this coming in any way whatsoever, but again, I am pleasantly surprised. I'm really, you know, I've been enjoying FPX so far in the tournament, so, you know, I wasn't sure that they were going to be able to do this, but my expectations are just going to be, it's going to keep growing for the next couple of times that I'll see them play, and I'm sure we'll be seeing them more, because this is just really well done. 11-2 in their favor, 14th round coming up, and they're back making a little bit of noise on the A side, or the A ramp here is Complexity, but we can tell that the bomb is kind of leaning the other way, so this is just an attempt to try and get something done. Config, big opening, and they will just shut it down. Yeah, bring the bomb back. That's it. I don't even know what to say. That is just like a great find, isn't it?
Yeah, it looked like FPX just completely were looking away from that position, maybe thinking the smoke was going to keep them safe. Clearly not the case, though. And FPX don't have much money. I'm slightly surprised Stiko's sticking around, but he's got the first kill. Bomb yet to be planted, which gives them a bit more time. I think FPX may have realized this is not winnable, and maybe not even savable, with JKS coming in on that lurk.
Yeah, finally, you know, things are safe on the Complexity side, and it looked like that smoke that went down at the corner of of short there, over on the ramp, it almost looked like, you know, Config just happened to be at the right place at the right time. It's like it goes down and he sees, wait, there's a huge gap in this smoke, and I'm not even sure if FPX were expecting that, so he just goes for it. That's crazy. So, a third round on the board here. Very late, but, I mean, it could still make a difference, I guess.
It's going to be a really weak buy for the last round of the half on the FPX side. Got that MP9, but they're not going to get much more. Should be pistols on the rest of the players. There's a second MP9 to add into the mix. Although I suppose on Vertigo, there are options for those close-range fights. There are options for close-range duels. See what options FPX decide to try and take.
Yeah, really on both sides, right? Like either the B stairwell or the A ramp, you can get pretty close, so maybe they can find a use for it anyway. Oh, nice early fight here. It looked like that should have been a spray down completely for BlameF, but the CSET 75 comes into place and is going to get caught in the middle of middle. And, well, now it's looking real good. Complexity trying to get that fourth round. It is another 2-on-2. which is always a bit worrisome right now. Farleak, I don't know, trying to bump into someone inside of the smoke. I think if you know that's a way to play it. You look at your own radar, you could see if you're still moving forward, and you can try and catch someone like that. Emmy gonna get found coming up the flank, and that leaves Farleak in a 1 versus 2.
Got that AK from the smoke, but now he's got to use it. Rush on the edge of Gens will come out for the final kill. 4 rounds for Complexity, but still a lot more work to be done. See if their CT side can come through after the break.
Alright then, welcome back ladies and gentlemen. Second half coming up here, the second map between FPX and Complexity here at Flashpoint. And Hawker, it's nothing like we expected for that first half. FPX are looking pretty much as good as they were on Inferno.
Yeah, close to it. And they've got 3 sets of nades for this T-side pistol, so clearly something in mind. There's some noise faked towards the A-ramp early. It could bait out the aggression of JKS. He's just going to tuck into the corner in time. Good shot to begin with, but the trade eventually comes in from Stiko.
That's not so bad. I mean, that's the 2 for 1. He's far enough up that even if they get that kill, they probably don't just want to run right onto the bomb site. So big chance for a rotation, and FPX are now just hanging out and waiting. They have the smokes and the Molotovs to try and set up a wall for the bomb plant. I mean, it's a pistol round. Anything could still happen. Config is going to go check. And he's going to go really deep. He's going to find himself in this corner all the way at the edge of the building, which, again, he could do a lot of damage from back here if he's just quick with the USP. There's one, and a follow-up. That is beautiful. Double kill coming up from him. And now it's all on Farleak. And he's already missing a couple of shots there. He's finally going to find poison. Still got about 50 seconds.
It was an awkward adjustment on the aim to begin with. Clearly not ready for a player to be so far pushed up. But now he can play with the time. Because there's so much time remaining, he can just cut the noise completely. And Complexity will absolutely be thinking to themselves, okay, maybe there is a possibility we have to go check elsewhere. BlameF has a look at mid, while Rush is playing this B site very passively.
Yeah, this is really cool, isn't it? They can't really afford to go looking for him, because that is really dangerous, and he's hoping that someone is close by so he could find the kill and then the bomb plant. but he kind of runs out of time. I think this is still a really cool play out of Farlig, but ultimately they're right on top of him. He has the Glock, and it shouldn't be doable. He's going to get one hit. Oh, I said that, and he does it, proving me wrong. What a fantastic 1 versus 2. I can't believe that he won that after he'd essentially lost his most powerful play, which was the time.
You know, if it was any other game, I wouldn't believe it, Anders, but with how Complexity have been struggling to close rounds in this one, you almost just feel like it's going to happen to them. He didn't have many bullets, though. He had like 3 shots that he had to fire to get those kills. So to transfer onto both of them is incredibly impressive. Those AWPers have always got that good first bullet accuracy. Comes through for Farlig there. And now Complexity are in that same spot where they're desperately searching for something with the Full Spy.
Absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, just... I don't even know. It just feels like FPX, every single clutch, they've made some sort of animal sacrifice to or deal with the devil or something to win all the clutches. That's all they wanted. That's what they wished for. And here we are. Just, it doesn't even matter how ridiculous it is. They're just going to find a way to come through anyway. That has got to be so heartbreaking and just defeating for the side of Complexity. What do you do? How do you get the morale back up after something like this?
Oh, that's not the best way to go about it. Poison's already been dealt with. It's Farlig continuing his fine form. Second smoke deployed. Didn't quite go as far as the previous one. And Blame Air almost caught out. Down to 14 health as he tried to get away with a cheeky nade. Still no commitment here from FPX, though. In fact, they're going to go back to B while leaving Madden here to just keep this pressure on. Oh, Madden hears the rotate
seconds.
away. Oh, he knows.
Yeah, he does. He didn't check Blame. He had no idea. So, that gives it up. Oh, he comes back for seconds. So, well, I don't know. They just almost have to keep going, right? But it will have been heard. There's going to be a counter smoke coming up. What a wild round. I actually thought Blamef was dead, missing that first shot. Now, they're going to come running onto the site, and they're still winning the fight. JKS trying and failing to reload. He just couldn't get it in time. So, in spite of that being really awkward after that Blamef encounter, they just win it anyway. It's 13-4.
I think that's a good showing of how the information game can go on Vertigo sometimes, where Complexity flash into A ramp, they see it's fairly clear, so they start to rotate, but it's that verticality that we always talk about, which means you can start to hear those rotations away. Madden was close enough to hear the rotate away, so FPX come back from B into A, and it ends up working out fine for them. Even if they lose that initial duel, they come in with all the kills. That's a lot of damage onto Emmy early. Nade takes him down to half health, but quite a few FPX players set up around B early into the round.
Well, man, normally you can try and find a path for a team to get back into the swing of things. Like, if just these couple of things work out, then there's something to build on. And I'm not even seeing it right now for Complexity. I really feel like they are, they're struggling to convert even the rounds that are, favored to them. Never mind coming up with something of their own that looks like it's going to have some sort of structure here. I don't even know what's happening anymore. It's Farlig and Emmy again, and I certainly am not expecting Emmy to be near the top of the scoreboard for this team, and he's doing a really wonderful job.
3 players fighting config. Not an ideal spot for him to be in. Rush is going to suffer a similar fate. There wasn't much investment from Complexity in this round, but they haven't been able to make it competitive. So they'll just be relying on this upcoming gun round. Yeah, just the fact that individually FPX are so strong here is a really good sign for this team. It's not like Complexity are bad. They've got a lot of strong players.
Yeah, they do, but they're not... there's something about the flow or just the way that this team is working out right now where it's not clear that any of them are even aware of that. You're not seeing them display any of the confidence that they should have. Like, we started this, introducing this, saying it's kind of hard to predict who's going to be top of the scoreboard for Complexity because so many of them could do it, but we've not seen much of that at all. I mean, JKS, credit to him, he's 17 and 16 right now, in spite of the fact that they're 10 rounds behind, so that's really cool, and I guess it seems like it's almost a shame that he's having this power performance in a game where they're still losing so badly. I don't know. It's kind of cruel, isn't it?
Oh, timing. Not favorable for Config there. Could have been a cheeky off angle to maybe try and get away with one kill. Instead, he just has to put the molly down. I am slightly concerned whenever I see a CT buy without a kit, because there's always a chance that A play is going to come against you, and then that A retake can be really hard if you don't have that defuse kit in hand. So it's pretty important Poison can get something done early here. You don't want to be giving up that A site without a fight when you don't have that kit.
Yeah, that is a good point. 14-4. Poison, a flash,
Ouch.
and kill. That was an AK versus an AWP, and again, it looks so smooth. And it's not even that it's necessarily that hard to pull off. I mean, like, the pop flash itself is just one thing, but they make it look so good. Really crisp. Config. A little bit further back, but trying to push up to help out his teammate, and they're doing the best that they can right now. Rush, not quite enough power in that M4A1 to take down Farlig as well. And at the end, it's JKS 1 versus 2, and the bomb goes down. And he doesn't have any of the tools, really, here, Hawker, that you would normally want to try and clutch this with.
Yeah, if you don't have the kit, you at least want a smoke or something, some sort of utility to be able to cut off one of those positions. Instead, he has to be aware of every single angle as he taps the bomb, and they're just going to see he's not on it. They're both on that short side. JKS himself might realize that now as he looks for the fights. They double swing towards him, and Farlig finds his 20th kill and FPX's 15th round in what has been an absolute blowout.
It really has. Yeah, I mean, you're right. If he'd had a smoke or a Molotov, anything to work with there, but yeah, all he could do was try and tap the bomb and hope that they made a mistake, basically, and they're not really doing that much in this game at all. 15-4. The first map was, what, 16-6? So, yeah, it's unbelievable.
See if they can close it right here and now. Early ramp aggression from Complexity. They are able to get up close, and Flamef's gone through before the flashbang. That makes it much easier for Madden to take him down.
Hey, look, Hawker, it worked in the final round on that CT side on Inferno, right? They pushed the middle and just made it work. So almost feels like that's a kind of like, hey, let's just try something. This is all kind of messed up.
They did do some nade damage back, which is better than nothing. Comes that ramp take.
Yeah, they have a Molotov to throw on to Rush. He's, gonna get smoked up by a teammate. He still has a smoke of his own in case they wait and do it again. Poison wanted to flank around, but Stico is just there in time. They also know they've been found on that ramp, so they're gonna change their minds just a little bit here. Oh, and Rush actually finding Farlig. That's not bad.
FAMAS up close for JKS. You want a weapon with multi-kill potential here. The FAMAS might not be the best weapon for the job, but I think he has to step up and get more than one kill on the hold.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is going to have to be at least a double to buy some time. Config is almost there, but he's going to slow down to check middle, and it's not even the one kill. Emmy just charging around the corner. Config now with another FAMAS here, but he's going to get shot in the back, and there's just no chance. There's nothing they could do here. Rush in a 1 versus 4. They're already out looking, and he's going to go down. It's 16-4 in favor of FPX as they take down Complexity in just 2 maps. That is just absolutely incredible. I can't believe what we just saw.
It's just so one-sided. What a performance from FPX. I'm glad we got to see this from them. I'm glad we're getting to see this team show us what they can do, because I think they got a couple of unfortunate matchups in that main tournament, and they come into this game and they just do great.
Yeah, I mean, really, really impressive. Not a light opponent to take down at all. We will go to a break, and when we come back, we'll discuss the match. And obviously, we do have a second best of 3 coming up on this channel, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with a little bit of a breakdown for you about what we just saw, the kind of madness that unfolded in that second match between FPX and Complexity. Alan, what just happened?
It's a good question, and I don't know about you, but I've got quite a lot of deja vu from the first to the second map. The first half's played out in almost exactly the same way. I think actually Complexity came into the game with actually the right game plan. They played pretty aggressive, pretty contact heavy, particularly at the start of their T-side campaign. They got a lot of entry frags, a lot of good situations. A 3-on-3, for example, is T-sided. But every time they got into a late round scenario, every single time it felt like FPX were the more decisive team. They were the one, making the information play and rotating and stacking a bomb site. They were the one actually, doing something as a team and pushing out on a flash. Whereas it really felt to me, in kind of simple terms, that Complexity throughout both of these games in the late round were like playing not to lose those after plants. They're just sitting so static, so passive, and the round where Styko won before them, they all just sat back doing nothing and letting him take individual duels. So I'm quite disappointed in Complexity in those sort of late round scenarios. But I guess on the other side of the coin, from the FPX perspective, you've got to remember that outside of Styko and maybe Emmy, not a lot of these players have experience at this sort of level of competition. And for them to have so much composure in the late round scenarios was really quite incredible. So I'm very, very impressed in FPX in that respect.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really amazing. We ended the highlight there on the 1 versus 2 in the pistol round. I don't know, Hawker, at some point it almost felt like it became like an in-match meme that they just couldn't win any of the clutches. But that actually, I don't know, how many clutches did they win? Like maybe 1 or 2 or something? I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I'm looking actually. Yeah, FPX won 5 1vx scenarios and Complexity won 1 on that last map, which was that JKS one. So that's pretty one-sided against them. I'm even just thinking back to the rounds Complexity won. They had that JKS 1v3. They had that round where Config ran up short and there was just a gap in that smoke and he just got 2 kills. It wasn't really rounds that felt that convincing even at times. It felt like it was more down to the opponents almost. So I don't know, just something seemed to go horribly wrong here.
Yeah, that's really devastating. It's certainly devastating in terms of the RMR point, which is, after all, why we're here. And I don't think I've ever seen Complexity in this particular fashion. I mean, and we're talking about a team that for the longest time were struggling to even get like their full lineup, and this should be like finally like something. It's I don't know, where's the energy gone, Alan? Like, where can we go look? Where do you go look for what's happening in a team like this?
It's certainly a very good question. I think, as you kind of mentioned there, at this point, there really aren't any excuses left for Complexity. When they had the period with Poison being out, and then they had kind of the rotating 5th player as the AWP coming in and out, and they had JKS coming in and him being introduced. From all of this period, and even after Poison came back, you could make the excuse, they need to play themselves back into form. They are a good team. They just need to get, back into playing some matches again and get in match form. But there aren't really any excuses for this, especially after they look pretty good at Pro League. So I don't entirely know what happened for Complexity here. It just felt to me like, if I had to guess, it was probably communication problems and like people not taking charge and being decisive and saying, I've got a flash, let's flash in and do this in the after plant. Somebody saying, okay, you play off my contact. It just felt like none of that was happening in every single late round scenario. I think FPX were doing that. And so I want to kind of mention from FPX's perspective is, I do think this series probably was the best series performance ever for a Flashpoint partner team, which is quite a big statement, but I've been so impressed by FPX throughout this tournament, even though they're not in the main bracket anymore. That is just like a really incredible performance for them. And I hope potentially when the other Flashpoint partner teams come back, they learn from the way this FPX team is built. It's not just loaded with aimers and, spending huge money breaking contracts to get the players. They've made shrewd moves. They've got the right players. They've now got Emmy in. They've got a good coaching staff. Like, the team just makes sense as a unit. And it's only mentioned on the car standards. They just look like a much better team, didn't they, in this series? And what a testament to FPX.
Yeah, just very, very cool to see for sure. I mean, and just to follow up on that, Hawker, I mean, do you have a sense for like what the upper ceiling for this FPX, like how high should we set the expectations? Because they've already put some pretty good teams to the test, and now also beating Complexity. I mean, there are obviously some really huge opponents out there to maybe win the future. Like, what kind of expectations do you have coming out of this match?
I feel like the ceiling for this team, for me, depends on the ceiling of Madden quite a lot, because I think he's the player that we're waiting to see if he can be a really strong star player at the top level, because he's shown glimpses of that. He shows us some games where he does take over, but it's not as consistent as you would want right now. And I think he may be the most raw mechanical aimer on this team, right? He's probably one of the players that's carrying you more in that aspect. So I think we're really looking at him, and if he can continue to press on, then I think that gives FPX just that little bit more firepower that makes them a really scary side.
Well, I think it's certainly exciting. They must have just been slowly collecting more and more fans throughout. I feel like I'm one of them. You know, like I didn't really know what to expect coming into it, but now like I will look forward to the next FPX game with with a lot of anticipation and just looking to see where this is all going to go. So I don't know, Alan, do you have any final thoughts on either one of these teams, or where you see the trajectory for either one of them in the future?
It's a good question. I think the thing you have to remember about FPX is looking at them in kind of a long-term vision. Like, having played for so long without an in-game leader and only recently got in Emmy, you really still need to look at this team in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, maybe even 6 months down the line, once they've really ironed out all of the problems that they might have been having in other series. Obviously, in this game, you couldn't really fool them in any senses. They were just winning so convincingly. But overall, they've obviously got some areas they can still work on. So for me, for FPX, we're still looking long term for this team, and we're starting to see so many more positives. It's just about rounding out those edges, and how far can they go up? I'm not sure, but for them personally, it's probably looking now top 10 ranking is now where they should really be aiming for. And if they can reach that with some of these players, with versus kind of the experience in the kind of the other teams around that level, that'd be extremely impressive and a huge testament just to their system overall.
Yeah, hard to disagree with, and maybe especially if you think about like the budget for it. They've really done an amazing job, so hopefully it will just continue in that direction. Now, the next game that we've got coming up in this evening is another best of 3, and it's between Anonymous and Sprout. So we got more RMR points to be dishing out. A lot is on the line, and it is going to be coming up right after the break, so stay tuned.
I just meet 2 new friends who like pain nights. Yeah, my friends. They start of invasions of things that I will never imagine. Phrases like free to kiss in case we're falling right. Jealous of girls with furs and dreams scream through the night. Never I know whose skies fall, and then we'll be together again. Gather your emptiness, together we fall, I guess, but we used to land. Forever. I'll just meet 2 new friends